right, Athlete Builder, getting closer to that 1 year mark, that 52nd episode. We're in the high 40s now, and we're back in the library. I'm your host, Jim Beebe. Got my guy, Lucas Lorian. And today, I got a nice little extra intro here for Liane Blyn. Did a little extra homework on this one. What's great about this one, right off the bat, is that we haven't dealt with anybody in hockey. So she's a strength coach for Arizona State University, deals with the Olympic sports, but her priorities, so it seems to be men's hockey. And did a little bit of homework on this one, talked to Chad Coy about Liane, talked to Jeremy Hartman, and she wouldn't notice, but lurking behind my shoulders, you won't see his face very much, but I think Brian Neese wants to get a couple quick looks at and some glimpses of Liane because he's had this professional crush, for a number of years. I heard about the picture that got sent, for his birthday. It's life-changing having Liane on the show. But all the kidding aside, what's also amazing is that she's going to whip your ass, too. If you want to talk numbers, just strong. Like, how strong is she? 5'4", What's that mean? She squatted over 500, benched over 400, and then deadlift over 5. All right? Been competing in powerlifting and strongman for years, decades, and has been winning all in tested meets. Has competed drug-free for years. I wasn't going to just lead with the IPF numbers, but then I'm going to miss the fact that she was a 14-time USAPL National Champ. 14 times. I haven't competed for 14 years. She won the whole thing 14 times, right? And then the IPF, that's the big dog. That's the International Powerlifting Federation. 4-time world champion. 4-time world champion. Competed a world's strongest woman. And then the big one, in my opinion, not only is she great herself, but 2000, where is it? Is it 22? Yeah. NSCA 2022 College Coach of the Year. And the word on the street is that her husband rides bulls. Right?
He does the sports medicine for the PBR, professional bull riders. He's 6 feet 250. He can't get on a bull.
Well, I'm sure there's some jokes to be made there, and we're not going to do that because that would be beyond me and the scope of this show, of course. But we got Liane and Luke, and I think we're going to have a good time today. Liane, how's it going? What's going on?
It's going great. Thanks to the intro and the reminder of Brian Neese. Chad Coy, I'm going to kill you.
That's right. He called me this morning.
Did he really?
Yeah, because we had him on 2 days ago, and we had a bunch scheduled up back to back, and we don't release more than one a week, but we had him on a couple days ago, and he called me because I'm publishing a book here in September, and he's going to write the foreword, and he had some things about that. But I said, hey, I got Liane on tonight. He goes, let me tell you about this Brian Neese guy. Now, Brian Neese is a legit strength coach for Brownsburg, right? Yep. He's done clinics at my gym on Olympic lifting. Technique is amazing. Very humble, but strong as fuck, right? Yep. And apparently he just drove around with this picture that you sent him. And it wasn't like it was some risque picture, right? It was just like, hey, it was like, hey, happy birthday, and big hearts and stuff, and that was all it was. And he was just like, oh man, Liane Blyn, And so Chad's like, hey, you gotta make sure you mention that. I'm like, Roger that, sir.
Yeah, Chad, I'm gonna kill you.
Right?
I love Chad. Blast in the past, but always kept in touch. He's awesome. Good people.
He and Jeremy, they both try to be funny about you and come up with this stuff, but they would, man, it's almost like they felt bad picking on you because in the next breath, they're like, man, she and her husband, great people. We spent some time, very professional. They know their shit. They like to fuck around and all, make these jokes and all, but still, you don't win nationals 14 times if you're just kind of screwing around, right?
Yeah.
You're not coach of the year if you're just screwing around, and so.
Hey, I tell my hockey boys all the time, I'm a funny asshole,
right?
Like I am, I coach with a smile on my face, and I don't get mad. I get even. Basically, it's one of those things. Like it's, this unassuming person. I have unassuming girl walks in. I always wear big baggy sweats. I'm always in big baggy sweats. I never wear anything less than that. Like I'm not one of those that runs around in spandex and tight short shorts or whatever.
Right.
But guys are like, they're like, wait, that's your coach? Like, what does she know? I don't know. Yeah. Yep. Unassuming.
It's got to be like that, especially for females and any kind of coaching element. Like even the female coaches in my gym, some of the guys are like, "Oh man, what do they know?" And it's CrossFit, so it's just adults trying to be healthier and well rounded and in shape. And then you see like my wife, who's 52 and would pull 300 pounds. She's 5'2" and 140 at the time, right? And you're like, oh, or these other ladies that can bench 200 pounds, and that's definitely not a 424 bench, but be some 40-year-old mom who can bench over 200 pounds or close to it. It's not until you actually have to prove yourself that some of the athletes are going to be like, all right, I'll listen to her. We'll see what she has to say, right?
That's been my whole career. That's been my whole career, being 28 years in this profession, starting out, not a lot of women in the profession. It's always been that prove people wrong and, my mentality and screw you mentality,
Kind of has to be. That thick skin has to develop pretty quick. Otherwise, you'll just be home crying in the shower and thinking, I'm getting out of this sport.
Yep. Yeah. I love my job. I love coaching. I love competing. Like retiring 5 years ago or however many years ago, that was the hardest thing I ever did was walking away from the platform and retiring. Saying I'm done. But I had a great career, great run at it, and now I play beer league hockey because I need to do something.
Are you
never skated in my life? Picked up playing hockey and whatever. It's fun. So I still miss competing though. Like I'll still go to the gym and screw around, and I go to Lifetime Fitness. Like I try to stay. If I go to a hardcore gym or go to a real gym in terms of like where things get done as opposed to fluff, I know I'll get back on the platform and start competing. So I have to like tone myself down a little bit, but I still pulled like 465 the other day for shits and giggles. And I can see people off in the corner, like going, I'm going to watch this. Like it's pretty funny. So yeah, I like screwing with people.
Is there a reason we retired?
I think it was 20-year career. It was a great career. It was just kind of time. My shoulder, I'm bone in my shoulder. So probably too many 400-pound benches kind of got in the way a little bit. I had accomplished all that I want to accomplish in terms of winning world championships and making it to 3 world games. My last world games in 2017, if I get a podium finish, I finished bronze medal, and I said I'm going to walk away and be done, and go off on a high note, because I think a lot of times people don't know when to say when. Body starts to break down, and you keep trying and you keep fighting, and it's like, every worlds I ever competed in, I've always placed top 3. Every worlds top 3 since 1997 when I first won that, I placed 6th place. But ever since that, I was always top 3. And not that I wanted to run away from competition. It wasn't that. It was more about like, hey, I'm ready to retire. I'm ready to be done. I want to go out on a high note. The fucked up thing is in 2018, hadn't put on a suit, hadn't put on knee wraps, nothing. 6 weeks out, I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to do nationals. So wasn't really training. I had my second best total ever at nationals. So, and my husband's like, don't even think about going to worlds. Don't even think about it. He's like, I let you do this one just because you wanted to do one more. And I said, yeah, you're right. I'm out. So I guess I wanted to prove just that I could do it.
Were you lifting equipped a lot or no?
Everything was equipped for me.
Everything was equipped. Gotcha.
Yeah. Back in the day, it was all equipped. Like there was no raw. Like the raw dog, and I call it medium raw. Let's face it, it is not raw. The knee sleeves that are out there are like suits, or like some knee wraps, and the suits that are out there for raw are like the old Inzer Z suits. Like it's not raw, it's medium. I call it medium raw. In all reality. So, which I know the raw people will probably hate me for that, but it's the God's honest truth. Like you put knee sleeves, raw to me is true raw, no belt, no knee sleeves, no suit, nothing. Like it's commando type deal. It's raw.
That's what I was always told that it was not even a belt. So you just lift, and that's what that means.
You just lift. You just lift.
You just lift.
Yep. You just lift. So, but equipped has always been the way, and I know it's flipped now because a lot of people don't know how to use equipment, or they don't have people to help them.
Sure.
CrossFit actually brought out a lot more people into the lifting realm.
Sure.
Good, bad, and indifferent. It brought people out, from into Olympic lifting, powerlifting, into strongman. So it actually, the sport grew a lot. Those three sports really, really grew. But raw lifting, it's just easier to do. But I don't think people know how to really train correctly when it comes to raw either. If you look at all the people that are in raw that have won, they'll win for 2-3 years. Their body breaks down so much easier because all they do, the percentages that they do the same type of training. You're never overloading. So I think for me, for gear and geared lifters, they stayed healthier that much longer because the gear helped protect, because you were in and out of the gear. You do a cycle with gear. Not gear meaning drugs, but gear meaning equipped. Right. So you would do your thing in gear for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it was, and then you come out and you do raw. So it's like you're loading and underloading. It's like undulating training. So now I see a lot of raw lifters. They're in and out of it quick because their body can't handle it. Their body can't keep up. And then they take 3 days, or a 4-day program, and they do every single exercise. They hit the full body. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. I'm going to do some form of squat, bench, and dead. Monday, some form of squat, bench, and dead. Wednesday, some form of squat, dead, and bench on Friday with every rotation. And I think the body just can't handle it. My mindset was training a lot differently back in the day. So just different mindset.
Do you apply a lot of conjugate then if you're trained differently? So most of our athletes, and me included, anyone that was really trying to get stronger, it was 2 heavy days and 2 speed days. Repetition method on those days for all your accessories. 80% of your volume is accessories. What did that look like for you?
For me, I trained 5 days a week. So Monday was always my heavy squat day. So heavy squat and light accessory dead. But I'm also psycho. Like most people will tell me that I overtrained because I'd be in the gym for 2 hours, and if you listen to Charles Poliquin, you should never be in the gym for more than 75 minutes and blah, blah, blah. But I think for me, it's what worked for me. It's not going to work for everyone, but Monday I squatted accessory dead, 3 or 4 exercises along with it, lower body related. Tuesday I would bench. So it's my heavier bench day, along with back. Wednesday, I would do I would do shoulders and arms. Thursday, I would take off. Friday, I would deadlift day with accessory squat. And then Saturday would be speed bench. Gotcha. And Sunday would be off.
Gotcha.
So,
got it. Okay.
But I also rotate. That was kind of traditional, but I also did another variation of it, of a 10-day rotation where Monday, Wednesday, Friday were my heavy days. So Monday, heavy squat, off on Tuesday, Wednesday, heavy bench, off on Thursday, Friday heavy dead, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday was also was light accessory type stuff, movements. But I only did that because my old training partner Tammy, she was a firefighter back in Reno, so that was kind of her rotation. And she's a former world champion too, so it's kind of what I went off of. It worked for her. Why does it work for me? And it did work. It did work in the beginning.
Gotcha. So hockey though, it's not something you play. You played field hockey in your life, but how do you transition coaching with hockey players?
I had this conversation earlier with our athletic trainer, actually, in talking about sport versus coaching a sport versus coaching lifting or being an expert in your field. Mm-hmm. So for me, being an expert in my field, I went to college to be an athletic trainer to start. So sports medicine. And then I got into strength conditioning when I was 13 years old. Started going to the gym and just learning. Back in the day, you had, Muscle and Fiction magazine. That's all you had back in the day to learn from was Muscle and Fiction. And you pull out, tidbits that's more bodybuilding 101. And that's how you would train. And that's what you did back in the day. So for me, looking at expertise in areas that feel I only took up hockey because I'm around it. I'm around the guys, and I thought it would be a fun challenge to be hey, being in this field, I've never played before. I want to go out and see what they go put themselves through. Now it's obviously beer league level versus a D1 level, but I want to be able to put on skates and see what it feels like to shoot a puck and all that. You don't have to go that crazy to do it, but I think it's something that helps. I think that, as a strength coach, sometimes we get caught up with coaches that are like, oh, well, you never played the sport. What do you know? What do you know? You have no idea about how to sport specifically train my athletes. Go fuck yourself. Like, sport specific is playing the sport. That's God's honest truth. Like, you want parents, you want all these, your daughter or your son to be a great football, basketball, whatever. Go do your skill. The strength conditioning piece is a piece of the puzzle that helps you stay healthier, stronger, gets you faster, more explosive, all the traits of what being a good athlete would be. The skill piece of it, that's why they have, skills coaches, hockey coaches, baseball coaches, basketball, hitting, shooting, passing. Like, that's just part of it. I think that sometimes we get caught up in the whole, like, well, you never played. When I went to grad school at NAU, I was lifting. So I went into NAU. All I had ever done, I was in grad school, it was 1996. So I'm showing my age. So 96, went to 95, went to grad school, and I was a grad assistant strength coach, and Trevor Cottrell was the other grad assistant. And he nicknamed me Slow Twitch. So Slow Twitch and Stumpy were my two nicknames because I'm pushing 5'3". I'm vertically challenged, horizontally gifted. Short, and I got a big ass. I use my assets wisely.
Right.
So Olympic lifting was the big thing there. Coach McClure was like, hey, you're going to weightlift. Everyone's going to do snatch, clean, and jerk. And that's where the Slow Twitch kind of name came from. But then Trevor kind of got me into the powerlifting mindset because he's like, hey, you're kind of good at this. And he's a pretty smart dude. So I got into it. Coach Axman, who was our football coach, came down and saw me lift one day. And he's like, hey, I need another lineman. Or actually, I need another linebacker. You want to suit up for me?
There you go.
So just from a strength standpoint. So it was pretty funny back in the day. So, I think sometimes we get just too caught up in the sport-specific world and all that.
This has been a theme, and we're rounding out a year of bringing on coaches. And we brought on football coaches and then strength coaches, military, special forces. And the constant theme is, they're doing their sport well. They're in shape. I'm talking like Navy SEALs, and I'm talking Army Rangers. I'm talking Indianapolis Colts and Ball State football and throwers. And the commonality is when they're dealing with these middle school or high school kids, the kids are playing a lot of their sports. Sometimes they're playing two sports at the same time, or they're playing the same sport twice. And they're playing their school sport plus travel. And they're all essentially weak physically. I got
Yep.
Lucas shaking his head, and I got Liane shaking her head. So Lucas sees these kids, and Liane's NSCA 2022, not long ago, Coach of the Year. And I got parents calling me this week saying, hey, I'm dropping my kid out. He's playing travel soccer, and he's playing soccer for the school, but not lifting. And we have the knee doctor for the Indianapolis Colts for 2 decades saying that, people are blowing up their knees more and more, especially females, but because their glutes are weak, their hamstrings are weak, their core is weak, they're not able to withstand the volume of play. And yet, week after week, and it's not like it's just my podcast is saying this, there's plenty of people, plenty of doctors, plenty of coaches saying, hey, work out just a little bit, 2 times a week, 3 times a week, get stronger. That's now the limiting factor. People aren't doing it, right? So I see or hear you being polite, saying, maybe people spend too much time on their sport-specific stuff, but it's not. They're spending a little too much time. They're spending all their time on it. Isn't that right? They're spending
100%.
almost no time lifting. They would spend 10% of their time lifting. They're all elevating to starting varsity, all conference, all state, right? That's really the thing, right? People aren't doing it, and this is an easy way to make a big difference.
Yeah, and most parents will say, oh, well, little Johnny's got to go to this practice and that practice and this sport, and right from this sport to that sport. We have no time to fit in the strength and conditioning piece. He doesn't need that. No, that's a big piece of the puzzle that you're not developing your kid. Like, your kid is going to be set back. You're setting him up. Coaches, for my job, I look at it this way. Availability, I need to make those kids available to coaches, and I need to make them durable. Because coaches want available kids and coachable kids. So my job is availability for them, healthy, and durability. They can make it throughout the season. And parents don't understand that, back in the day, there was no strength conditioning. We had PE class back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
We'd go out and climb in trees and go outside and, do things, do dumb shit, climb trees and, go out and play ball for hours. And it's like, hey, there was no cell phones. There was no video games. I mean, there was Atari back in the day, but you're lucky if you had that, like, again, showing my age, but now it's like every parent, you gotta peel your kid off the freaking couch. And it's like, okay, Johnny, we have this practice now. And everything is so structured. Like there's no free play anymore.
Sure.
There's no PE classes. They're cutting left and right because it's like, oh, my kid, doesn't want to do PE. They don't like it. It's foundational stuff. Like if you don't have a solid foundation when you build a house, your house is fucked. It's crumbling down.
Yep.
It's the same thing for an athlete. If you don't build a solid foundation, your body's going to crumble.
Yeah.
And you may be the best of the best at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The fact that these leagues have 8-year-old all-stars. No one's a fucking all-star at 8 years old. Come on, give me a break. Like you're doing it to, because everyone gets a trophy these days. Everyone's got to get a trophy. Everyone's got to be a winner. So as an all-star, you put these all-star things together. Back in the day, like AAU and club or juniors meant something.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were the best of the best if you played AAU in the 90s, in the 2000s, early 2000s. Now anyone can pay to play. And it's all about money. Parents are being sucked in. Oh, you're going to be the next Austin Matthews, the next Connor McDavid, the next Tom Brady, and next Tiger Woods. You're being sold a pipe dream. And all it is these people are, thank you for the money. Show me the money. It's 100% what it is. But parents don't get it. They don't see the behind the scenes and what goes in. They just see the outcome, the complete outcome of Sunday, Monday Night Football or whatever night it is. That's all they see. And they just buy into it. They buy into people that are, the functional training. It's functional training. It's, shit to way to sell shit, basically. It's like they want that, or sport specific training. They want that being sold as like, oh, this is gonna help play your sport. Go play your sport. You need to get better at throwing the ball, then go play your sport. Go get a coach. But your foundational movement, you have to get in the weight room. ACLs, women are 6 times more likely to tear their ACL. Sometimes it's a genetic thing. Sometimes I tore my ACL skiing in 1994. I've skied my whole freaking life since I was 8 years old, skied. In 1994, I went to Tahoe, went to Squaw Valley, just got caught in wet, heavy snow and pop, there you go. Just a weird freak thing. And freak accidents happen. Sports, collisions have collision sports like hockey, like football. Freak things happen. It happens all the time. It's not the matter of when you get, or if you get hurt, it's when you get hurt because it's going to happen. But how you recover from it is different. Everyone's different. You keep training. You have a great foundation. You're going to come back a lot faster. I don't know. Sorry for the rant.
That's all right. Luke, you see the same thing, right?
Oh, all the time.
Talk about your women's basketball team and what's going on there. And talk about what you're seeing at your school, at just a regular high school in Indiana.
Yeah. It's particularly bad where I'm at with primarily football, a lot of volleyball, stuff like that. All your club sports typically, your soccers, volleyballs, AAU basketball, all that. I don't know if it's how new it is, but the 7-on-7 football stuff is taken over like crazy. And what it seems like to me whenever I see it, I'm not saying it's everywhere, but a lot of people create these training facilities, and it's just for skill work, skill training, working on, and it's really not even. It's real bad when it's like volleyball and basketball stuff like that, because it's not necessarily training. It's you're going to play 50, 60 games in a matter of. I mean, our girls are gone almost all of July, and they are playing summer league basketball, which I didn't know summer league basketball was a thing until I got into coaching in the high school level. I didn't know that was a thing, and they're playing basketball all summer long. You got football guys out there playing basketball all summer long while also going to practices and stuff. And that summer league is it's essentially AAU. And if you ask me, and it's with your basketball team, but it's just kids running up and down the court. They're not playing their sport. They're not learning. And it's time, I feel like the AAU stuff actually makes athletes unprepared and way worse for their sport, because then they actually have to go and play real basketball against teams that are really dialed in the sport, not just running down, playing pickup game, throw it to the guy that can dunk it, whatever. And then it's like you got, for example, I got a girl that, is a football player that also is a soccer player that is not only doing soccer for the high school, but doing soccer for the club team, playing football. And I think she's picked up flag football. Flag football is now a sport for girls. And so you're playing 4 sports in one season. It's just it's a new thing. And, it's just a matter, like you said, it's a matter of time when you get hurt. And at the high school level, it's really hard to try to talk them, unless you got a sound culture where you're at and coaches that really are on top of the game. But it's hard to get that under wraps and hard to get them kids to understand, because one, they love it. They like that stuff. They like playing the games. They like being involved. So to try to tell a kid to quit doing something they love, quit playing their sports, they're like, well, I want to play as much as I possibly can. Well, then you get conversations about what your goals are and what you want to do. And then you have those kind of conversations. But it's I'm fortunate that we haven't had a lot of injuries where I'm at. I think we're getting a lot more kids that are buying more into the weight room stuff and kind of looking at the sport specific stuff and kind of, understand, once you get those first group of kids to buy into the weight room and you see what they do, and once they have success and then they say, well, it's not because I went and did all this skill work training and all this stuff with this person over here, it's because I got in the weight room and it boosted my confidence. It got me stronger. It got me to be able to feel more confident on the field and what I'm doing. When you get those kids to that level, then you start to see a change. And that's kind of where we're at now. We're starting to see that change, but it's a plague of injury and a plague of money grabbing adults. And that's what I blame first and foremost, is the adults that are doing all this stuff, because it's, one, they're looking for a money grab. 2, it's they weren't successful in their college or high school endeavors when they're playing the sport. So now they're going to push their kid to be their very, very, very best early on. And whenever it's, part of the game is to have fun, and, the training and all that's part of it. But let's not burn out 10, 12, 13-year-old kids because you want to, I don't know, make them this little league all-star. I don't know. Funny story. I actually had, me and my fiance, we go to B-Dubs after every football game on Friday nights. So we're at B-Dubs. We're just sitting there having our food. And we're just talking about the game, talking about training and stuff like that. And a guy just kind of overheard our conversation. Was, hey man, what can I do to get my kid better? With, he's a wrestler. How can I make him better? I need to get him into training. I'm like, yeah. How old's your kid? And he's like, well, he's going to be in first grade next year. I was like, dude, well, without trying to be rude, I was like, man, let him. He started talking bad about the coach. I was like, look, dude, there's one thing out there that, there's not a single coach out there that probably wants to be like, I'm going to go train 50 first graders in wrestling. Man, let them go out there and have fun. Let them be around other kids. Let them compete. Let them be social. Let them learn. Let them lose. Let them get beat up. If kids toss him around, let him learn from that. But he doesn't need to be training. He's learning basic skills. Let him go learn how to be social and be around other kids and compete, stuff like that. But back to what you're saying, it's a plague of money hungry adults, and I don't know, so.
I had a parent of an 8-year-old come in and tell me that their kid was going to be the next Tiger Woods and they needed one-on-one training, sport-specific strength conditioning. I wouldn't do it. Like, I'm like, I have a group, like we sectioned it off or named it as just different things, like our speed group. So it was a certain age, kind of age range type thing. So speed, developmental, and then it was, and then performance is how we leveled it. And speed was like, hey, fun games, go have fun, like learn how to move, learn how to compete. Our developmental, we added in a little bit of weights. And again, as you know, training age could be you have 1, 2, 3 years of training age, or you could come in sometimes. We have freshmen that come in and have 0 training age, have never touched a weight in their life, which is crazy to me. But I also have had kids that came in as a freshman and kicked every single upperclassman's ass, as far as numbers wise goes, but their skill development, like they just physical development just kind of toppled off. It's like they're not going to get any better physically.
I've had the kids come up and say, I need one-on-one coaching. I need my program. I'm like, I don't know, man. It's, not to be trying to push numbers here, but you're squatting 135. You're barely benching 115. You got the 35s on the bar. I don't think you need one-on-one training. I think you just need to get in here and train and do that for a couple more years. And kids do not want to hear that. They don't want to hear that, especially if they were a stud in junior high. If they're a stud in junior high, middle school, they do not want to hear you tell them, hey, you need to develop and you got lots of time to train and get better, but you definitely don't need one-on-one training.
You're 100% right. 100% right on that.
And it's hard because, sometimes I just want to be like, why? 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 And it drives me up. But sometimes I just gotta,
bite your tongue.
Yeah, they don't know what they don't know, and as simple as that. You just gotta kind of teach them, and they'll either pick it up sooner or later. And it's hit and miss on whether or not they do that. So,
you guys point those things out, and you guys are absolutely right. And we can keep kicking that horse. It's going to be dead. It's been dead, but it's still the same deal. And everyone knows who's going to get hurt on the team, or they can see it because that person's so weak to get pushed around, right? So they're breakable, not unbreakable, right? And so you want to try to create these people that are durable, can handle the season. But then everyone else knows who's the strongest and who the fastest and who the most powerful kid is on the team. And every parent comes in and says they need speed work. And the example I give them is that, if power cleans is a power thing and deadlift is a slow thing, if you can't deadlift 100, you can't power clean 100 pounds, right? If you're weak, you're not going to be that powerful, right? You're not going to. It's just a matter of physics. It's not me. It's Newton, right? You're trying to break these rules. And I've interviewed kids that came out of our gym that weren't training there that much, and they went and played at a D3 baseball school, blah 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 blah. And 2 or 3 years later, I said, hey, like you're 6'4", like you have all these lessons. I'm not trying to be an ass, but just tell me, like now. You're in your 20s. You know the answer now. Why weren't you a D1 athlete? Why weren't you better? He goes, those guys at that level are just units. And that was his phrase. They're units. I go, what's that mean? He goes, they're big, physical, strong units. And they play this, I can hit the ball, but they're hitting it to the fence. I can't do that, right? I go, yeah, well, that's it. Like, that's it. An example I give is that, Walmart's competitive advantage is that they're the cheapest and they have better suppliers, or they have better supply chain. As an athlete, as a business, as a company, as a country, everybody has their competitive advantages and weaknesses. And if all these kids aren't lifting and they're all weak as shit, and you're the only one that's lifting, then now you have an enormous competitive advantage.
100%.
So you talk about these kids that are coming in. Now, Arizona State hockey wasn't always a D1 program, not till 6 years ago. It started to transition from club, like you were telling me. But you said some of these kids still come in and they're still weak. They still made it to that level. Well, imagine you get them like a 2 times body weight squat. Well, shit, man. Those knees are so much stronger on the ice. They can handle getting slammed into all the time, right? Their speed's going to go up. They're so much more forceful. I guess especially against ice, which there's no friction, right? So you're trying to create force in a sport where there's no friction, right? So that's super hard. So at the end of the day, just make your kids strong as fuck, because they can then be powerful and fast as fuck. And that's really just the way to go. The end.
To kind of talk about that too is like, we, specifically talk about our football team. We just played a team this past Friday that we lost to last year. This past off season, our football team probably had the best off season in my 4 years there. They really bought in. They really cared about being in the weight room. I had the entire football team in there every single day, 4 days a week, all off season. We ended up having over 20 405 back squatters. We had 10 mid fours, and then we had 2 500-pound back squatters. I'm not saying numbers are that important, but what I will say is that the commitment, determination, and the discipline that they showed, and the character building, and the camaraderie and suffering together, and doing all that stuff together. And that's why it kind of goes back to the whole, go in and see your trainer. You're not training with your team. And this year was the first year we had our whole team there all year round. And when they took the field Friday, it was a different attitude, different feeling, different. They had a different demeanor to them. Their gameplay, the way they acted, the way they held themselves to a certain standard. It was night and day different from the year before. When we had adversity, they were able to handle adversity. When they were getting, there's parts of the game where we were struggling. The other team had all the momentum, and to see them be okay with that and still fight, and then come back and win the game. And really, it was a hard fought game, and it was very physical, and see that everybody was able to handle that. This has a lot to do with like the weight room and building confidence, and what it can do for you as like a player, as a person, how you handle a game, how you are more confident and more comfortable in the game. And we did nothing changed.
Resilient and relentless.
Exactly. And nothing changed other than the fact that they suffered for 10 months. They worked hard for 10 months. We put them through a lot for 10 months, and they were able to go handle it in front of an entire community. Like, it was their community night. Everybody was out. They had all their little league teams. They had all their varsity teams out there. This is our varsity team. This is our other varsity team. And the whole town was out, and it didn't faze them one bit. And it's just, nothing else changed other than the fact that we had the entire team there, and we went to work all off season.
That's the mindset of we over me.
Yeah.
And I say all the time, like, it's team first, and you're not an individual. It's a team sport. If you want an individual team or an individual sport, go play golf. But as a team sport, you should be all training together. Even when I had my business back in Mass, I would never allow an athlete to miss his training with his team ever. Mm-hmm. You want to come in, and most places don't do that. Most places are like, "Oh, I'll take your money." Not for me. It's like, hey, like, if you have team training, you want to come and do extra, I'll work with your strength coach or whoever writes it at your high school, and I'll help you through extra work to help whatever you think that you're lacking in. And it's the only way I would do it. But a lot of these other facilities, places, it's all about numbers. It's all about generating income and rolling kids in and out. For me, it was more about longevity. Life after sports. Sports happen. Some play high school sports. 75% of kids drop out of organized sports by the time they're in high school. A very small percentage make it on to collegiate level. Mm-hmm. Very, very smaller percentage from there make it on to the professional level. So to me, it was more about, hey, how can I keep this athlete in here longer and teach them how to be an adult later in life, whether they play sports or rec league and stay healthy, or go on and play in the NHL or NFL, or go on to play in the collegiate level and then be a lawyer after that kind of thing. But it's instilling a lot of discipline and mindset and getting things done. So it's beyond athletics. It's beyond sports. Because let's face it, the percentages is 1 in 300,000 make it to professional level. I mean, that's a small percentage, but mommy and daddy will always think that, oh, my kid is the 1 in 300,000 that's going to make it. Well, are they doing the right things? Are they training? Are they eating? Are they sleeping? Are they, are they staying up all night playing Fortnite, or video games? Are they, getting up and eating breakfast? Or are they sleeping until the bus comes and rolling out of bed 5 minutes before the bus comes, or not eating all day long, or eating crap and junk food? Like, there's a lot that goes into it that people don't realize, and it takes a lot of sacrifice.
I had questions about, you mentioned mindset, which is huge, right? Because it kind of governs everything. Your mindset is your identity. It's how you handle adversity. It's how relentless or resilient you are. You pointed out, and you have these kids coming to Arizona State specifically to play hockey. Hockey's a northern sport. Not a lot of people playing hockey outside in Arizona, right? So they're coming down there, but they're still coming down to play. And so they're good chance they're away from their families. And it's a different generation, right? You can see that Liane, if she can put 500 on her back or pick it up off the ground, there's enough moments of pain that she can draw upon and say, hey, I've been in pain so many times, I'm pretty used to it. I have enough confidence because I've had all the painful reps. I'm not really afraid anymore, right? If you don't go through anything painful, there's no painful reps in your life, metaphorically or physically or otherwise, then you're not really going to be that tough because you haven't built that. And one of your things you wrote here, the big time is where you make it the big time. Yep. You're talking about building resilience. It's a sport where people are missing teeth all the time, right? So
yeah.
Talk to me, when you see the Hanson brothers lining up across from you to whoop ass, right? How do you build up that mindset and that resilience from these 17 and 18-year-olds all the way up till 22, 23 when they leave? So talk about some of the things that you guys do to build that.
Here's the difference. In college hockey, they don't come in, very few guys come in at 17 and 18 years old. Mm-hmm. We have one. They go and they play juniors. They go live with billet families for 2, 3, 4 years. They're away from their families.
Okay.
So their mindset and their resilience is pretty built up at an earlier age than a basketball player or a football player that goes just from high school straight into college.
Okay.
So the mindset of collegiate hockey players, and it's kind of odd because it's a white collar sport. You have to have money to play it, but it's a blue collar mentality. You have to have a little bit of craziness and fuck you to play it, I think. Even for me, like I always say it all the time playing beer league, like I have no skill, but I have no fear, like good and bad. So, I don't mind, last night playing beer league, I'm 5'3", pushing 5'3". I'll go after the guy who's 6'2" and try to steal the puck. I have no skill,
sure,
but I have all will and all grit that I'll just go say fuck you, I'm on it. I think hockey is like that in general. I think the mindset is definitely different. Hell, in hockey, when you're 7, 8, 9 years old, you practice at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. The East Coast, I grew up in Massachusetts. Those rinks were open 5 o'clock in the morning. You're 7 years old, your ass is out of bed and you're going to practice. You have to, that starts early, that starts young.
Nice.
Some things, some parents coddle their kids, others don't. And I think that parents that don't coddle their kids have that mindset starting young and early, and they build up that resiliency of like, oh, it's early, oh, it's cold, I got to get all this gear on. There's 5 guys that play plus your goalie on the ice at once. You got 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, and a goalie. Like it's not like a soccer team where we got 11 players out there, and it's not. You got to be good. You have to push. I mean, there's lots going in Massachusetts. I mean, Massachusetts, Minnesota, those are like the mecca hockey schools, or not hockey schools, but hockey areas. And kids grow up, and you just have to learn it at a young age. And it's different skills. You got to learn how to skate, stand on blades that are this big, and you have to stick handle. So there's lots of different variables that you have to have and learn and work on. Hand-eye coordination. But I think resiliency and mindset is built at a young age when you do play a sport like hockey.
Yeah. I read Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, and he specifically talked about what it takes to be an outlier, to be great, and there's a number of different things. But one is the exposure, right? So if you're in Canada or you're in Minnesota or Wisconsin, you said the East Coast, and you're around those folks, well, there's hockey rinks, and there's local parks here in Indiana. There's local hockey rink parks outdoors all the time. So you're just around so many more people playing. Like everyone that's great playing soccer in Europe because they're all playing soccer. Everyone's playing. So you have that much more exposure. So you're talking about those people just around it more. So you got a better shot. The other thing is that since people are around it so many more, they're getting so many more reps. That's that knowledge component, the knowledge of your sport, that if you're not around it, and you're just now kind of learning it, like you might be coming right at me, but if I can skate backwards and you can't forwards and backwards and you don't have that, then you're going to get beat pretty easily, right? Now, if you come right at me and you're pretty close, and I got 5'2" of pissed off Liane coming right at me, I'm probably losing a knee, right? And if not, she's probably going to at least bite me in the hip. So Right.
I was told to use my ass the other day. They're like, use your ass. I'm like, I got enough of that. I can use it.
You don't get to squat and deadlift sumo without a big ass, right?
That's true.
You really don't.
That's true.
Now,
That's true.
there's more and more money involved in college sports, right? People are getting busted for rule violations a year ago that this year, not a problem, not a rule breaker, right? So there's the transactional component, NIL, name, image, and likeness. I'm not playing this year. I can go somewhere else, right? But there's still the old rules that the cream rises to the top. Everyone else that wants to be transactional, they can be moving around, but probably not going to happen. But you're right down there in the thick of it, where people can come and go all the time. Talk about how the whole sport's changing, how all of college sports is changing. From your perspective, what are you seeing, and then like what happens next year, 2 years? So I'm not saying we can stop it. And Newton said that it's not the strongest that survived or the smartest, but the one that adapted the best. So you just can't fight it, but if you adapt faster than everybody else, you win. What are you seeing happening, and how are people going to start adapting? What's going on there?
I've had to learn to adapt really quick in that sense. I've always been a person that I love being in the collegiate realm and the high school realm because I get to see athletes develop over time. I get to see them come in looking like boys and leaving like men. And now I get a kid. Do I get him for a year? Do I get him for 2? Are they going to enter the transfer portal? Are they going to go pro? And it's like that. And when you're at the D1 level, it is 100% transactional now. I can go here. I can make a top quarterback. They're paying them $2 million for a top quarterback now at big time schools. Like, so all this, you can pay players. Basically, it's now legal to play players. You look at, is it Michigan or Michigan State? I can't remember the Fab Five. They found their NCAA tournament, their banner got taken down because were getting paid back in the day. Well, you couldn't do it back in the day, or you could do it, you just didn't want to get caught. And now it's all legal to some degree. I mean, there's parameters and stuff around it, but you can get involved in that. And the NCAA landscape is changing significantly. Sadly, I think some of our smaller sports, like that are non-revenue generating, I think they're going to end up becoming club sports or D3 mindset in terms of like, hey, you're here to have fun. It's about culture. It's about having a good experience and not necessarily about winning championships, because all the money is going to get dumped into your basketballs, your footballs, your baseballs, and all your, hockeys, your higher level sports that can generate income. Because they have to generate income in order to pay players to go. It's kind of crazy now. It's definitely crazy.
So does Arizona State pay the players then, or does someone else does?
I don't know all the ins and the outs of it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
To how all the NIL works. I
know that any player can go get a deal. Like, I can, you could be playing tennis somewhere and Subway locally, mom and pop shop, and say, hey, you post on Instagram about eating Subway, we'll give you $500 a month. That's just one small deal. But other folks were getting cars and written checks. So I was wondering, is it
cars and homes and all that? Yeah, we have a whole collective or a whole department that takes care of that stuff. I try to stay out of that realm. Like I stay in my lane. I'm like, I'm just a dumb strength coach. Just tell me who I need to coach and what I need to do, and I'll get them stronger in that sense. But that is. But it's a big thing. I mean, the NCAA versus House settlement is out there, and they're trying to figure out the settlement of who gets paid and how far it goes back. And I'm, like I said, I try to stay out of that lane. And like I said, just tell me who I need to coach. Tell me who's coming this year, who's on my roster, and what I need to do for them, and I'll figure out like how to get them stronger, how to get them faster, how to get them more athletic, and set them up for success.
Gotcha. Now you've coached high school. I remember Jeremy Hartman was saying that he's coaching at Franklin and you're coaching at Franklin. Two same high schools, but two different states at the same time. You coach males and females, right?
Yep.
And if you read Bartholomew's book, Brett Bartholomew, I can't remember the name of it though. I think he spent like 50 chapters. Each chapter is real short. It's like 5.
Conscious coaching?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it right there. So he talks about different personalities and how to work with them, right? what's the personality of a D1 college hockey player? And then what's some other personalities you work with? You're like, hey, this is what I really like to work with. And also there's others that, these are really challenges I have. So I learned more as a coach, and this is pretty fun too, but you wouldn't think this is very fun. So give me some insights there on working with different personalities.
I think a biggest thing, there's three things that I look at. I look at connection, communication, collaboration. So for me, I talk to a student athlete. So before they even come here, I call them, I get their background. I get, what their training is like, who they've worked with, how they worked. We have a kid from Sweden this year. All he did his whole career and his whole life was Olympic lift. So he's awesome at Olympic lifting. His power output on the force plate is the best that we've ever seen here. He's like a track athlete. Numbers comparatively compared to all of our other guys are like, what the fuck? Like, it's crazy. So to me, it's all about getting to know the student athlete first and getting to know what makes them tick. Like, what are they good at? What are they not good at? What do they like? What do they don't like? What has their experience been? And then for me, from there, I decide, okay, how am I going to best serve that student athlete? So I have athletes, like I told you before, and I said it, like, I'm a funny asshole. Like, they know that I will jump their shit, but if I jump their shit and yell at them, something is really wrong. Because I usually am not a yeller or screamer. I'm usually like, hey, to the point, like, get your shit done, let's go. But personality and different ways to coach, you have to get to know that kid. You have to have connection with that kid. Connection is what I want for you. Communication is what I want from you. If you have no connection with that student athlete, you'll never be able to tell them what to do, and they will never respect your opinion or your expertise ever. So personality wise, I've had kids come in here, have had shit experiences in the weight room. I don't need to do that. I just need to do my body weight stuff. Okay. Let's do your body weight stuff. Let's figure out, where it all fits in and how we can help you progress and get better. And a lot of guys here, like I had one of my hockey guys, he squatted 405 for 5 last season, middle of the season. Like, he's a beast. And all the other guys around him go, holy shit. Like, he eats weights, and he's eaten weights for a long time. He does Murph every Memorial Day. Like, he's on it. Like, that is his mindset. He's dialed. I have other guys that are like, I'm not feeling so good today. I'm not feeling so hot. I'm like, all right, well, let's get A, B, C, and D done. And if we can only get A and B done today, that's great. It's a win. So sometimes you have to treat kids with kid gloves. Even in a sport like hockey, where the mindset is pretty blue collar, you're still dealing with sometimes fragile kids that have always been told, who's never been told no. They've always been told yes, and have always gotten away with what they've wanted to do. So it's really about that connection with them, and then learn how to collaborate and say, okay, what has worked for you in the past? I have so many transfer kids, and they come from different schools that have a different mindset. So some schools, like back in the day, Penn State used to win national championships. They were a high intensity school. They didn't have a platform in sight, but they had great athletes. Okay, they didn't touch a clean. They didn't touch a squat. They sat in a machine and did one set to failure, and it worked, and they were still national champions. Versus USC or whoever win a national champion. That's in the weight room's a piece of the puzzle. It's not the be all end all. It's a piece of the puzzle. And House used to say it all the time. 9 times out of 10, USC would come in here and kick our ass because they have better athletes. Like, you can recruit. If you give me a 3-star athlete, okay, he's still a 3-star athlete. I can make him stronger, faster, more explosive. He's still technically a 3-star athlete. Your job as the coach is to get him to that 4-star level or to whatever you want. Which sometimes is a little harder. Sometimes it's, in my eyes, in my lens, like, these kids have played their sport their whole lives. What are you going to do as a coach that's going to set that athlete apart and give them what they need developmentally across the way? And I think now more than ever is you have to have a way to communicate with kids, a way to connect with kids to find out what buckets they need to fill and where they need to be. Goals, you have some kids, you have kids and parents that are delusional. I'm going to play D1 hockey, and I'm going to go on and play the NHL after that. probably more than likely that the chances of that is small, or you go to the coast and you go play for a couple of years and then you figure out, yeah, I'm not making the NHL and then or AHL, and then you decide whether you're going to go over to Europe or you're going to hang the skates up and go coach or start your career.
Right.
So, but personality wise, like there's lots of different personalities. There's personalities of like, I've done no weightlifting to I've done it all.
You take those three components, and I like having people on that are in the military, and then those that are coaches, and then are athletes, and then strength coaches. And then I have this finance guy scheduled like a month and a half out. Does a Navy SEAL swim, so he's a finance guy. And what I like about having those people on is that you take these rules, these guidelines, these principles, and they transcend out of the sport into anything else. So when you say connection, communication, and collaboration, is there really a profession out there where those three don't make the impact? Is there a marriage or a role with your family or your kids where having a better connection is going to hurt you? That's going to be huge, right? If I'm an accountant and I have a connection with my business, my client, and he knows I understand him, and then he and I are communicating better so we can collaborate on structuring overall their tax plans or their accounting plans, we're going to have a better overall working product. And if you talk to these kids, hey, these three things, and in a few years when you're sick of looking at this funny asshole who's got a big one because he's only 5'3", right? You're going to take those three things and over apply that kid. Hey, just take these things and you keep applying these things and you're going to be a better accountant, or you're going to be a better school teacher, or you're going to be a better dad or mom or whatever. And it's that piece right there, because between 2 and 7% play college, and then between 1 and 2% of those 2%ers playing the pros. So you're looking at thousandths of a percent, right? So you look at all these players and these parents when they tell you they're playing this or that and say, no, they're really not. Statistically, I'm going to try to get you to wherever you can, but you're still going to have these three things. And if you have these three things from Liane, and you're funny, right? And if Brian Neese is watching, you're going to find someone who likes you, right? Then you're going to be all right. Those are huge. Those are huge things, especially the connection piece.
Funny story. So one of my athletes, Jacob Wilson, great kid, played hockey. I came in here as a strength coach his sophomore year. One of the hardest working kids I have ever met in my life. Very, very respectful, very dialed, very driven, school-wise, the whole nut, school and hockey, and did whatever it takes. He did everything I asked him to do, he would do, from cleans. Like, he was unbelievable. Like, he cleaned 260, so 110 kilos, hang clean as a hockey player at 180 pounds is pretty good for a double. And every week he'd build on it. Hey, I want to get better. And he always wanted to get better, and just a great kid. And one day he asked me, he's like, hey, can I come in early and come work out and get some extra work in? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Come in at 7:00 or whatever. And he didn't come in. He didn't show. He texted me. He's like, I had a late night of studying. I got a test or whatever. So to be a funny asshole, the next morning he came in, I left a bowl of milk outside the door for him because he didn't want to get up. He's like, what the fuck? But those are the things that those kids remember. And he, he's been gone now for 3 years. And he's like, hey, call me. And he's like, hey, can I use you as a reference? I'm applying. I just took my LSAT. I'm, want to go to law school and I got to get this job. And he's like, I applied for this job and he wants, he needs a reference. I need a reference. And, the company wants to call. And he's like, I thought he could. And I'm like, can I tell him the bowl of milk story? And he's like, yeah, probably could. The guy's pretty cool guy. So, but I didn't tell him about the bowl of milk story, but he's a great kid. It's, you got to figure out what makes those kids tick. You got to figure out what, how you can get the most out of them, especially without, for some kids without mommy and daddy around, and, what makes them go, what makes them tick. Sometimes, you find out from kids it's mom and dad that love the game. It's not that they don't love the game. It's mom and dad. Mom and dad's living vicariously through their kids.
Sure.
I've seen a lot of kids quit and give up and walk away and be like, give up scholarships and leave and, hey, it's not for me anymore. Or I just want to focus on academics and, start my life. and, you know, move on and be a good person and have a great job. So,
you know, you're right about the parents and the kids. Good friend of ours, Chad Dockery, was on. He's a athletic director in school down in Evansville. He coached at my gym, coached my son in high school, and he's been good to me. He's been good to Lucas, you know, and you know, Chad's a good athlete, right? His wife was an outstanding athlete, and freshman year, University of Kentucky, she's All-American swimmer. That's pretty good.
that's really good.
Second year, she transfers to a school in Evansville that has no swimming program. She was so over it. And I'm talking to her because I'm doing this. I've been working on some more swimming just to be healthier and some things I've been working on. I was talking to her about swimming, and she goes, I'm 49. She's in her early 40s. She's like, I absolutely hate swimming. I hate it. I don't ever want to be in a pool to swim. I won't ever even go in. And I'm talking about the volume that I'm doing at 49, just doing, like, I'm low. I'm at the bottom, learning, right?
Bottom.
And she says, yeah, twice a day, we'd swim anywhere from 8 to 10,000 meters. 8 to 10,000 meters. I did 800 meters the other day as a personal record, half mile. I'm like, oh man, look at me, 800 meters. Not even in a row. I'm resting on some of these 25s. She's doing 8 to 10,000 of go fuck you super fucking fast, and then she'll go back and do it in the afternoon and do it again. I'm like, oh my god. But you're right. You just get to that point where sophomore year, she's like, hey, I'm out. See you later. I'm done. I'm sick of it.
Peace out.
I'm sick of it.
I've seen parents, you know, with their kids. We had a sister combo, and the older sister wasn't as good as the younger sister. And the dad brought him in to do some training. They both played softball. So the older sister was like a first baseman, decent player. The younger sister was a pitcher. And, you know, they'd go to all these tournaments, do all this stuff. And the older one got a, she was the older sister, she was a valedictorian of her class. But dad so bad wanted her to go play softball. She could have gone, written their ticket anywhere as the valedictorian of her class to go anywhere. But she ended up going to a small, crappy school because she got a scholarship. It's like a D2 school because he wanted to be able to say his daughter played softball. And, you know, there was his youngest daughter. She could have been a stud at a mid-major school, a stud pitcher. But nope, wasn't good enough. Had to go, you know, a big-time school. They were looking at, I don't know, Oregon, Washington, Kentucky, like all those schools. Ended up going to a big-time school. She pitched like, I don't know, maybe in her whole career, and she was there 5 years, like maybe 12 innings.
Oh,
like it's crazy, but it was living dad's pipe dream of like going to a big time school, and you know, not wanting to disappoint dad, and you know, going and just staying there. And great kid, great family, but it's like sometimes you gotta just let your kid make the decision. So
yeah,
crazy.
Huge.
I got a quick question for you. Kind of a little bit off topic, but I like to ask all the strength and conditioning coaches this question just to be kind of funny. I don't know if you're ever on Strength Coach Twitter. It's vicious. But anyways, do you power cleans or trap bar jumps?
Power clean all day long.
All right. I just had to ask. It's there's certain things that I see coaches arguing about and talking about. It's hard for me to get involved in, but it's just funny to ask when I get a chance. I got a strength coach in front of me. I just like to ask, just to be a little funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of things on Twitter that I'd like to respond to, but I'd be fired. So I keep my mouth shut. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I love cleans. Look, if a kid has a wrist issue and can't catch a clean, I get it. High pull, trap bar jumps. I think it's a substitute. I think trap bar jumps are a substitute for a clean, but I don't think you produce as much force and power as you would in a clean.
But what about the force plates and stuff that say otherwise?
Yeah, well, you know, who's doing the force plate testing?
Yeah. I've always just kind of thought it was funny to, you know, I would much rather prefer power cleans as well. I teach high school kids how to power clean. it's not a short process.
No, and you have to be able to put time and effort and energy into teaching. So if you're going to teach a clean, we had a coach at high school when I was back at Franklin. He wanted the kids to do Tommy Moffitt's, LSU program. I'm like, we don't have that space. We got 1,600 square feet. Where am I going to snatch these kids? I'm like, I am one coach to 100 kids. I'm like, we can't. I'm like, I'll do polls, I'll do things like that, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. If you're talking about trap bar jumps because you have no space, you have no coaching, I think it's a great substitute. But I'm a believer of I would rather clean. I would rather do that.
When you're teaching, especially high school kids, cleaning and stuff like that, like there's so much. We don't have a lot of time for one, so we're lucky to get our main strength in and 2 other exercises in. But really, at the end of the day, those are really all I really care about. And if I can squeeze in 5-10 minutes to work on clean technique, stuff like that, just progress that for literally the first semester of school. And
I think it's awesome that you have classes during the day in high school. So for me, it was all after school stuff. So it's after school strength conditioning. And I say this all the time to, there's a big Twitter argument going back and forth, something going on in South Carolina.
Right now?
Right now. If you put in a pool, you have to hire a lifeguard. You wouldn't put a pool in without hiring a lifeguard. Why the fuck would you not, if you put a weight room in, why would you not hire a certified, qualified strength conditioning coach? Like, it makes no sense to me at all.
Pretty big deal.
Zero sense. It makes zero sense to me.
Jim, did you hear about that?
I hadn't heard about it. No.
Some kids got pretty severe burns on their hands.
Oh yeah, you know what? I did. Yep. Crawling across the turf that got real hot. Yeah. It's happening here in Indiana too. They were doing bear crawls on an asphalt track. Yeah.
Right down the road.
Right down the road from where I'm at right now.
I was in high school.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, I mean, you can't do stuff like that anymore. Back in the day, there was no social media back in the day. So back in the day, you could get away with some things. I mean, you could get away with saying a lot of things, off the cuff things that you get fired for now. But everyone's watching now. Everyone's watching. Not everyone's trying to screw you, but if there's something comes up, they'll call you out. It's just different.
Yeah.
Different generation, different time. Got
to evolve.
Everyone's on.
Unfortunately, I guess.
Yeah.
We could talk all day, and there's other things I want to ask. Anything you want to get into, anything you need to get off your chest, or say, hey, Jim, for anyone listening that are parents or kids, do this, or read this, or watch this, or who are some people you think that other athletes should pay attention to because they learn great things on mindset or teamwork, not just on how to lift, right? You can watch whatever. There's plenty of stuff on Elite FTS and Mark Bergener and Jim Wendler. There's plenty of that stuff on how to live. So who do you watch or who do you follow along? Like, hey, this person always has good wisdom. I'm a better person. I'm a better coach. I'm a better athlete because of this person. Any of those people stick out to you? Say Jim Beebe.
I mean, I've always been. Say it again.
Say Jim Beebe.
Right. Jim Beebe for sure.
For sure.
Jim Beebe.
Right.
Jeremy Boone, I've always followed. From just a mindset standpoint and just a good person. That's where I got the connection versus communication stuff from. Things on wins, small wins throughout the day and throughout your life, throughout your career. I like John Gordon books. Like I'm one of those that likes to, follow John Gordon, like that positive mindset. I think it's too short to be negative. Like it's too short to, they say you only live once, so although you live every day, you only die once, kind of thing. So,
right.
So I think having a positive mindset, I think he has some great stuff in there. Who else? God, there's lots of people. Grit, Angela Duckworth, I listened to.
Got that one down too. Book. I love that.
Yeah. Martin Rooney has always been good to me. I love Martin. He's been, smart. I met him in 2004 back in back here at ASU when I was here with House. He's always had good, knowledgeable stuff. He's always been upbeat, positive, and you know, yes, rah, but he's always been just a good person, a good human, and that's a big thing for me.
I was looking through your resume. I saw the Parisi school. Is that where you met Chad Coy? Because we had him on. He's a master coach with Parisi. So is that where you guys crossed paths for the first time?
Not the first time. Chad Coy and I crossed paths in strongman.
Okay.
So when I competed in strongman back in, I don't know, when was my first one? 1999.
Gotcha.
I think. I met Art McDermott. He used to run all the Shriners strongman competitions.
Oh, wow.
And I met Charles Poliquin back then. So Charles and Art put a strongman seminar on. We put it on at Boston College when I was working at Boston College. And then Chad I met, I think it was 2000 when I met Chad at the first strongman showdown. I think I sent you a picture of the one doing the Hercules hold.
Saw that.
I think I said that was from that. Yep, that's where I met all those guys.
I just sold my Hercules hold. I'm the state chair for Indiana, and we host contests, but it's just low level stuff. And sadly, it turned it all over. It's just that I'm not getting people to come, and those that want to compete, they end up going to the Midwest or the regional level first, and they just bypass those lower shows. So that's how I met Chad, and we had a Highland Games event. We had many Highland Games events at our gym, and that's where I met Jeremy Hartman. In fact, it's a funny story. I'm wearing this shirt. It's an older one. It says Heavy Athletes. Unbreakable. Yep. Unbreakable is our gym name, Unbreakable Athletics. So we're over in Ohio, and Ohio's big on strength sports, and Mark Valenti was hosting a contest. And it was a combo. Half Highland Games and half Strongman. So 6 events, nice. 3 and 3. And a bunch of us, maybe 5 of us from the gym went over to compete. And of course, had these shirts made. And there was instead of calling it Heavy Athletics, they wrote down Heavy Athletes. And most of the guys don't care. Some of the females, when you call them heavy athletes, they're like, you're calling me fat, so they're a little pissed. That's why I kept the shirt, because I'm like, that's a good reminder. You hate just.
That's definite. I had a contest in 2003. We had nationals in Columbus, and then we had another competition in Columbus, like downtown Columbus. We had to push this big, I don't know, drainage pipe thing, like lean again. It was kind of crazy, but it was fun. It was fun. When
people ask me what is strongman, I said we pick up dumb shit.
Yeah.
We pick up dumb shit.
I have a picture on my wall of me flipping a tire, me pulling a plane. Like I pulled a plane in 2004. It's 14,000 pounds. So that was probably one of the coolest things I ever did. Pull a plane.
We did that for a Special Olympics charity fundraiser. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but Chad I've known for years. That's before I met him, and then we got involved with Parisi a little bit after. Got involved with Parisi first, then talked to Art about getting involved with Parisi, and that's kind of how it was. And then Martin Rooney, I had already known Martin Rooney and all that, so
awesome.
It was one big connection.
How's your team going to look this year? I saw last year you had a pretty solid season. Last
year they did awesome. Last year is an independent team. So 24, 9 and 6. Tournament. This year we're going first year in the NCHC. So it's playing the big dogs of Denver National Champions. So it's Denver. It's oh my gosh, who else? Colorado College. It's NODAC. So it's a lot of big time schools are in that conference. So it'll be good. It'll be good. So
be tough. Anything fun or funny happen when they have a hat trick?
Not really. I mean, they throw hats on the ice if you get a hat trick. We had one last year with Dylan Jackson, but not really funny.
Sorry.
You're not gonna die on us, are you?
I hope so. I'm near the whiskey, but I can't really quite reach that and drink it, for medicinal purposes. So I've been sucking down these cough drops all day because of the chest cold. When you're training by yourself, what do you listen to?
Hard rock, 100%.
Old school?
It's either old school. I like Kid Rock. I like Metallica, like that kind of stuff. Old school AC/DC, that kind of old school. Definitely. You won't find me listening to rap ever. Can't stand it. That's just not me. Or country, like chilling in the car maybe, but that's it. But I'm an 80s hairband girl too. From the Poison, Def Leppard days of big hair and all that. So I'll definitely listen to that while I'm training.
You watched the Motley Crue documentary on Netflix?
Oh yeah. Yep. I love Motley Crue. Love Motley Crue. That was one of my favorite concerts I've ever been to. Favorite. Skid Row, Dokken, all the unbelievable concerts. So Guns N' Roses, awesome.
Ever tease the hair out? Big?
Oh yeah, I got bad pictures. I got pictures of hair like this tall. Oh yeah.
My wife's gonna love that.
Bad. Yep.
That's gonna be
big hair,
outstanding.
big time. Aquanet through the roof. Don't light a match.
Hot.
Yep.
HOTT right there, niece.
It's funny.
What's a bucket list adventure you can do either by yourself or your husband or someone else? But you haven't done it yet. You haven't been there yet.
I would love to go to Whistler and go ski. Whistler or go to Costa Rica. Love to go to Greece. Like I've traveled a lot of like cool places, but definitely Whistler is one of them. I want to go ski there. I'd love to ski in Switzerland. So I have a lot to do yet. I love the beach. Went to Cabo 2 weeks ago, just for the last hurrah before no life happens with college athletics. And yeah, but definitely would love to go those places. Greece is someplace, and I'm half Italian, so a big Italian family. So I would love to go to Italy too. So
no shortage of ideas there. No
shortage of ideas. No. So when I retire, which could be a year to two, who knows? We'll see. I love my job, but we'll see how much longer I last in college athletics.
Favorite sport movie?
Favorite sport movie. I like Remember the Titans. I like Rudy because I always like stories about the underdog. Like Rudy is kind of one of those, my mindset is I don't care if you're the first one off the bench, the last one off the bench, or never off the bench. I'm always going to put into you what you put into me.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like those, the underdog stories.
Favorite sport to watch?
I like watching hockey. It's fun. It's exciting. I shouldn't say this too loud, but, sometimes watching... No, I can't say it. I can't say it. Hockey's probably the most exciting for me.
Oh.
The most exciting.
I didn't think...
The least exciting. There's a few of those.
What about your favorite sport to play?
I played field hockey and softball in college.
Mm-hmm.
I did like playing softball. I was good in high school. I was just average at best in college. Like learning how to play hockey now has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of challenge. So I like a challenge. We went on a team retreat this weekend and we played pickleball. I am not good at pickleball. I am awful at pickleball. Part of it's I can't raise my right shoulder past here without doing this. So sort of taking a racket, it's not really really easy right now. So yeah. Swimming, I cannot swim. Like my ass sinks. Sinks. So yeah, you'll never catch me swimming.
Is pickleball a sport?
Like bowling. Is bowling a sport? Is golf a sport? Like, how do you define sport? How do you define sport?
That was a question I had in my sophomore year English class at Purdue. I took sports and literature, and so I think the definition for that teacher was anything you can compete at. And I said, well, I'm pretty fast at chugging beer. If you want to compete at that, then is that a sport?
Yeah.
And they said, well, is anybody going to pay to see that? I go, no, but a lot of people don't pay to see a lot of other sports. So I don't know. I would say, for it to be a sport, I would say it has to be pretty well received in that it's not just 2 or 3 people doing it. They said breakdancing is a sport in the Olympics, but not really. People don't do that everywhere. So people got to be able to do it everywhere. There's got to be some physical component, obviously. then that takes out chess.
Yeah, I mean, like the ribbon twirling dancing in the Olympics. Like,
So I put like pickleball in with like cornhole and bowling, where they're pretty fun drinking games.
But yeah, cornhole is big on ESPN.
Yeah,
I mean, we can't even get powerlifting on ESPN. We can get cornhole on ESPN.
That's right. Yeah.
So you can get darts on ESPN now. Is darts really, I
don't know, man. If you got the other person on the other side getting hit with the dart, back and forth.
Extra.
If it's 1v1 that way.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite athlete to watch?
Favorite athlete to watch. There's a lot of favorite athletes to watch. I think God, my guys are gonna say they're gonna be mad at me if I don't say them. My hockey guys. So I'll say my hockey guys here are my favorite athletes to watch.
Oh, you big homer. Lame. All right. I'm gonna reword this then. If it's not hockey, with hockey? What's your favorite protein?
Well, Bruins, because I'm from Boston. So, yeah.
Some places the sports are religions. They're not just, hey, it's just cool to play, Like,
yeah. But I will always say this too. Like, I've never had a true favorite, only because, like, I'm always rooting for for athletes that I've had, and if they go on to that team, I'm rooting for that team. Like, whether they go on and play at a high level, like, I'm rooting for that kid as opposed to necessarily the team. So
that's the thing. My son plays football at Ball State, and one of his teammates was Carson Steele. They both came in as freshmen, and Carson Steele did 2 years there, then 1 year at UCLA, and he was an undrafted free agent with the Kansas City Chiefs this preseason, and cut day was Tuesday, and Carson made the team. So my wife and I, we've seen him play. He's from Indiana, and he was on Jack's team, and Jack had a relationship with him. So we're cheering for that kid that and it's like, oh man, it's pretty sweet, So I totally get what you're saying. Yeah. I saw what you wrote here. Do you have a favorite book that you like to recommend to people?
Like Angela Duckworth's.
Got it. As you can see, I got a lot of books behind me, and when I introduce the show, I say, hey, welcome to the library. Well, it turns out if you have 1,000 books or more at your location, the U.S. calls it a library. And my wife and I are big nerds, and we just added them up the other day, a little bit over 1,100 total. So,
The Secret Sauce of Leadership by Danny Mabe right now. So yeah, his book. Chris Carlisle wrote a great book. I'm blank on the name. Blank, but he wrote an awesome book too. He's on book number 2 coming.
This is what's great, and what sucks is that after 52 podcasts, I'm going to have 52 at least book recommendations. So they're coming in almost every week on Amazon, right? I'm not reading them all, right? I could listen to some, but I am pumping them in here. But it's like, shit, got to slow down because also writing my own. Favorite superhero for you?
Wonder Woman or Superwoman.
You're sexist.
I can do it all.
Sexist.
Yeah, a little bit. I have a shirt that has Wonder Woman right in the middle and doing this with Batman and Robin on the side.
Beautiful.
She's what? So yeah.
And if it's Linda Carter or Gail Gardeau, I don't care, right?
Don't care.
It's
don't care.
I absolutely win if it's either one of those.
Yep.
Now you said you don't have one. No villain you like? You like to root for any of the villains? Like, there's no bad guy you think that guy's cool?
No bad guys, no.
Not one?
Not one. I mean, maybe the Joker.
Okay.
I'd say the Joker.
The Heath Ledger version?
Yeah, Heath Ledger version.
Outstanding, right?
Joker. Yeah.
All right. Favorite lift? All of them? Okay.
All of them.
Uh-huh. How about how about just glute ham raises? It was pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean they're necessary evil.
They're hard though.
They're hard.
Yeah, they're hard as hell.
I mean, I love the squat. Like I love the squat. I love the dead. I love the bench. Like I love all of them. Like there's not like my bench was probably my best lift at 424 for being that my squat was average at 545. My dead was average 502. I mean, but I think my bench kind of set myself apart a little bit at the time.
I'm gonna be more specific here. Favorite strongman lift?
Atlas stones.
Me too.
I love Atlas stones.
Yeah.
I love Atlas stones. The most fun out of them all. Pulling the plane was pretty cool.
It is cool.
Pulling the fighter plane was cool.
What I like about the stones is they go back centuries, and not just a round stone with Atlas on your shoulder. You know, the full stricker stone, the Husafel stone, the Denny stones, right?
Yep.
Inverness stones.
Husafel stone was fun.
Yeah.
I've done that in a couple competitions too.
Favorite quote?
Favorite quote, never lose sight where you're going, but never lose sight where you're going, but never forget where you came from.
Gotcha.
And I think that's my favorite quote, just because, I'll never forget everything I've endured in my past. Like every roadblock you've hit, every no that I've ever heard. For me, it's all about adversity, dealing with adversity and fighting through. And it's made me who I am today. So like, I'm not done yet. I'm not done being who I am. I'm not done doing it, trying to make an everlasting impression on student athletes or making an everlasting impression on the next upcoming strength coach. I'll never forget of shit that I've gone through. When I was at Boston College and I was inherited when my boss left, and I was inherited. Guy came in, basically, told me that women should be working with women, and I'm men's basketball hoochie mama. I told him to fuck off every single day. Got into drag down fights with him every single day, and I hate that guy. Like, it's forgive, but never forget. Like, I may forgive you, but I'm never gonna fucking forget.
Right.
And for me, that's just taken me from a standpoint coming into Arizona State in 2018, the mindset of like, yes, I am inheriting a staff, but I will never, ever treat people the way that I was treated back in the day. Like I have expectations and standards in terms of like, hey, back in the day, we used to try to beat house in here at 4:00 in the morning. Who could be here, make it here at 3:59? Now it's like I don't really expect our staff to do that. I can't pay my staff enough, so I give them back their life and don't expect them to be here when they don't need to be here. But yeah, there's a lot to that quote that means a lot to me. So,
well, it keeps you focused on a target moving forward, but it's not so specific, so you're still moving forward. But also reminds you of your past, so you have the confidence and you remember where you came from, and it keeps you humble, right? So
yeah,
if you're walking through that, if you're walking through life and down that path that way, driven and focused but humble, you're probably just going to be just fine. I know we can find you guys at Arizona State. And hockey, I think, starts October for the first games. Where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter, just Liane Blyn, and I'm on Instagram. Liane Blyn. On LinkedIn. Here's the hard thing. I am not much of a social media person. Like I used to be when I competed, I would post stuff all the time. And now I find that for me, it's a time suck.
Mm-hmm.
Like I go down rabbit holes. So I put a time limit now on my social media where it's an hour and 15 minutes a day. And that is it. So for me, I'm trying to be better being present when I'm home. It's one of the biggest complaints my husband has is that like I never shut off. I never shut off from work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to be way better about being present and, not getting caught up in things that don't affect me, like right here, right now, personally, and don't get pissed off at things. And there's a few things that get me fired up and irritated with the whole, I think women should be competing against women. That's one of them, and not competing against people who think they're women. In that sense,
right?
That's a big fight I have, but I can't say much about it because I'll get in trouble. I have to keep my mouth shut in the space. But yeah.
Well, Liam, we had a great time having you on today. Stick around. We'll have a couple more questions once we sign off. But it was really lucky to have you on, and I really appreciate the time Jeremy was right about you. Chad was right about you. I don't want to know what Brian thought about you, but those first two legit coaches, and Brian is too. All three outstanding.
You can tell him I said hi. I don't know how to get a hold of him. Otherwise, I would get him hold and send another picture to him.
Wow. Oh wow. Oh boy.
On my better side,
right?
Which never mind. You don't want to.
But I had a great time. So you guys know where to reach Liane. If you guys want to reach us here, info@athlete-builder.com. Send us questions. Send us questions for some of the other prior guests. We can email them and be on the lookout. September 30th, the Athlete Builder book launches that week. So more on that to follow. So Liane, stick around for a little bit, but great having you on, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.